Jim, what happened to Saracens, mate?
I think they just got dominated physically. That was it. Like physically, and it's not something you say about Saracens. We've seen La Rochelle do that to Leinster a few years ago, and there was a big turning point. We know Saracens have been going through a different process around trying to evolve their game in attack. I thought the physicality, I thought the desperation in defence from La Rochelle, the size of the bodies compared to the size of the bodies with Saracens, and all the talk of Billy Vunipola going off after 20 minutes. Would that have made a big difference? I don't know. I just think the quality that La Rochelle had, we can go through the profile of that team, like Weenie Antonio at tight head, Buggerit, the hooker. How good is he at carrying, by the way? Big Willie, Little Willie Skelton, like every single carry from a standing start or even when he's walking back into position, just making gain line on top. And we'll talk about Bottia because my goodness me. So I'll start with the physicality and we can talk about the breakdown after. In my opinion, Saracens didn't really fire a shot. They were just completely overwhelmed by the champions and by the power that they've got. And again, we're starting to see more so now. I know that extra in the semis, but the gulf is just getting bigger and bigger between the French teams, Leinster, and everyone else. And now I might end up eating me out if Exeter do well in the semi-finals. But you look at it now, there's a massive difference now between these teams.
Yeah. I think the big thing for me, when you're looking at the game, you're dead right. La Rochelle absolutely monstered Saracens in the physical battle. And respectfully, Saracens, that's what they do to a lot of teams in the Prem, don't they? So it was basically like, this is what you do to teams in the Prem, we're going to do it to you. And it's, when you get to knockout rugby, it's about the gain line, it's about the physicality, it's about the breakdown and who dominates that area and the kicking game. Now, Saracens, I actually thought, watching the game, and while I agree with Jim, it didn't feel like they were in it. The scoreboard really wasn't too bad against them. And I thought La Rochelle, there's a few learnings for them. It's a knockout game. You're 16-3 up. Take the 3 points just before half time to make it a 3-score game. And then just keep, you don't need to score tries necessarily in quarterfinals. When you've got that bigger lead, you just keep pushing that team away from you. So there's a few penalties that they could have gone for, which actually kept Saracens in the game, I thought. And Saracens fronted up as well as they could. They did stop a lot of driving lineouts where La Rochelle have had a load of success. But it was, I don't want to say men against boys, but it was what Saracens do to teams in the Premiership sometimes happen to them. You're talking about the physicality, the tackling, Farrell's falling off tackles or going high and getting bumped off. And that's because these are big human beings. Big Willie, Little Willie Skelton is a monster. Like, there's no two ways about it. Lavani Bottia ruled the breakdown. He was running over people when he had the ball in his hand, making breaks. He's a centre/7. But you look at how many turnovers he got and Will Skelton got at the breakdown. They just dominated that area of the game and fully deserved the win. It's an unbelievable place to go. I was lucky enough to go and commentate on a game over there 3 or 4 years ago when Wasps played in the Champions Cup, and the stadium, the atmosphere is jumping. I think they've had 77 games or something sold out. And when you talk about, and Jim, this is what you mentioned before, around you've got a French owner that wants the town and the sporting club, the rugby club, to be the fulcrum of that town to bring success. That's what they've done there. And O'Gara is an unbelievable coach. They've got everything going for them with some absolute monsters. Like, we are talking gargantuan human beings that it's just, even Marrow looked small, didn't he, at times? And that's saying something. Marrow is a big bloke, but he stands next to Little Willie Skelton, and you've got a monster against a big sized bloke that doesn't look big.
Pod.
Rugby pod.